Meet the Candidates Forum. What follows is the second of three segments of the 2017 Hackensack Council Candidate Forum hosted on April 30th at Mount Olive Church by the Bergen County NAACP and videotaped by Bergen Grassroots Incorporated in the interest of better informing voters of Hackensack about their choice in the Tuesday, May 9, 2017 municipal election. In this May 9 Hackensack municipal election, there are 5 candidate slates, or 15 total candidates. Those 3 slates of 5 candidates will appear on the city's municipal ballot in 3 columns. Hackensack voters may vote for a total of any 5 candidates from among those 15 candidates. On the ballot, the Hackensack United for Progress slate is in column 1. The Labrosse team plate is in column 2. The Hackensack Strong slate is in column 3. Because the Labrosse team slate appeared second in the candidate forum, in this second video forum segment records the Hackensack Labrosse team slate presentation and discussion. The forum was introduced by Bergen NAACP President Anthony Curitin. The forum was moderated by former Ridgewood Mayor Paul Aronson, and each segment begins with 15-minute intros of slate members, followed by audience questions written out and delivered by the moderator. The Labrosse team slate members are, as you will see on this image.
I just want to welcome our candidates and give the introduction there. Thank you.
Everybody hear me? There we go.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
First, I want to thank the NAACP, and also I believe Bergen Grassroots is here. I want to thank both organizations, and I want to thank Pastor Jackson at the Shoes Local Center. Thank you very much. Good evening. My name is John Labrosse, and it's been my great privilege to serve as your mayor for the past 4 years. My wife Debbie and I have lived in town since 1979. We raised 2 sons here in Hackensack. Both went through the school system. Both are doing very well. Deb and I have 6 grandchildren, and Deb is a second grade teacher over here at Hiller School. I'm going to speak a little bit today about redevelopment as far as affordable housing goes. Affordable housing is a very big issue today, and I want to just speak briefly about how the city is dealing with it. Years ago, the city created what was called an Affordable Housing Trust Fund. First, let me start off by saying the city of Hackensack meets its obligation because we have the Housing Authority, which meets the obligation for our affordable housing at this time. COA, which is the Council on Affordable Housing, is an ever-changing document. It changes from year to year, so you never know where you're going to be. So knowing we're doing all this redevelopment, we certainly have to pay attention and look forward into the future on how we're going to deal with affordable housing. What we did do is we are now creating as part of these redevelopments, they have to kick into this trust fund. Right now we have a little over $1 million in this trust fund, and there's 2 more projects right now that we're starting underway, which we're putting into that. The redevelopment programs will definitely benefit our affordable housing. I want to talk about one project in particular that the city is very involved in. Everybody knows where the probation site is on River Road. That was approved for affordable housing for actually there's going to be a bus depot on the bottom where the bus depot is now. That was going to move into an indoor bus depot. 2 levels of public parking and parking for the residents, and above that 2 levels of low to middle income housing along with veteran housing. This project was approved by the state. It's approved by the New Jersey Transit is involved with it. What we're waiting for now is the county didn't want to sell the building at that time, and we're still hoping that we can move forward with this project as soon as they decide this. They might even do it themselves. And if that's the case, we would actually, try to join forces with them if they do it. Another major project we're looking at that we spoke about recently with a group called CCAP is actually right here on Central Avenue, which would bring new development probably from Railroad Avenue up to 2nd or 3rd Street with low-income housing, some new retail on the bottom. We're looking to probably designate that area as an area of redevelopment so we can start to do some work on that and bring in some affordable housing right here in this neighborhood. This city has a great future. We believe that the redevelopment program is really at the heart of it. The deputy mayor and myself are on the redevelopment committee. We worked very hard in the last 4 years to start this redevelopment, and it's working tremendously. And you'll see some numbers that she's going to speak about. Another project we're working on right now is, and affects everybody in Hackensack, is this Teterboro plane noise. These planes are flying ridiculously low. Unfortunately, I was out of state, but they went Wednesday night they had a meeting down at Teterboro. There were quite a few people there, and a message was sent out that the citizens are really sick and tired of it. You know, this was supposed to change last July. They were supposed to change the flight pattern to go down Route 17 to give us some relief. That never happened because they left it at the option of the pilots, and of course the pilots are going to take the easy route and do what they've been doing all along. But we want that to be made mandatory. We don't want it to be a choice for the pilots. At this time, I'd like to introduce the newest member of our team, Stephanie Von Rudenborg. She's a very impressive young woman, and she's making her first run for City Council.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Von Rudenborg. I just want to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a special education teacher in Richfield Park. I have an undergrad degree from Rutgers. I also have a law degree from Seton Hall School of Law, and I went on to earn my master's in special education. I love teaching. It's my passion, especially special education students. Myself and my husband Eric moved to Hackensack 10 years ago. I have 3 children. We have 3 children. Evan's 6, Benjamin's 4, and Gianna's 21 months. Evan is in the public schools at Fairmont, and Benjamin is going to get ACDC next year. We're involved in the Fairmont School PTA. We're involved in junior wrestling. We moved to the city because we wanted our family to have, and my children to have, real life experiences. It's a city, and with a small town feel, but when you live in Hackensack, it's a wonderful experience. You meet so many different types of people from different backgrounds, and to me that's important, because one day they'll go off to college, they'll go off to the workforce, and that's life. You meet many different types of people from different backgrounds. So it's hard to find those communities in North New Jersey, and this is one that I'm proud of. I'm a member of the Hackensack Planning Board, where we are involved in the redevelopment, and when we sit and make decisions, we make sure that it's fair and carefully planned and implemented in a way that it's good for everybody, for people with families, people without children, and that's how I became involved, and I met wonderful people. I firmly believe that our city is finally on the right track after many years of neglect. I'm very proud to join this compassionate team, and I want to assure you that my door will always be open to any resident who may need my help. Thank you again.
Thanks, Stephanie. I'd now like to introduce Councilman David Sims. He's also our liaison to the police department, serves as a police commissioner. He's also, most of you know him as a volunteer who's dedicated much of his time to the youth in the city. And Dave?
Good evening. My name is Dave Sims, and I am completing my first term as a city council member. I am employed at the Hackensack High School. I am a lifetime resident of the city. My daughter, Ashley Sims, she is going into her 4th year as a math and science teacher. She graduated from Manhattan College. I attend New Hope Baptist Church, but I spend a lot of time with my fiance with our activities here at Mount Olive. I've always believed that getting children involved in instructive activities like sports and recreation programs, it is a very important part of keeping them on the right path in life. The mayor said I am the city liaison to the Recreation Center. I am also the first African American police commissioner liaison, where I have helped restore faith and trust in our police department by our city residents. I'm proud to say that we are one of the first police department in Bergen County to get body cams through grants, so everyone will be held accountable. We also now have tasers for every shift. I am proud to be running for re-election with Mayor Labrosse and all of our dedicated team members. With your support on May 9th, we will continue to work hard for you, the citizens. Vote Council, May 9th.
Thank you, Dave. Councilman Battaglia could not be here today at a commitment. He's actually, as many of you might know, he's a youth coach, and they had a big game today. He's actually with the children, he won't run down, so he's there with the kids. So I will move on to our next speaker, who is Deputy Mayor Kathy Canestrino. Kathy brings an unusual level of professional experience to city government. She's a retired aerospace engineer from Honeywell who holds a master's degree in computer science. She brought some charts to show you, and she'll be discussing our finances and the redevelopment program in more detail.
Good afternoon, everyone. Our vision for Hackensack is lower taxes, higher property values, and a bright new future for all of our residents. When this council took office in 2013, we were faced with a $30 million tax appeal problem. Basically, we found $30 million worth of debt in a drawer going back to 2005 that the city had not paid. As a council, we made two commitments. First, fix the problem. Second, make sure this never happens again. Fixing the problem meant going before the state local finance board and presenting with them a 3-year plan where we bonded $10 million a year for the past 3 years. And we did that with minimal impact to our taxpayers. Secondly, to prevent it from happening again, many of you may have seen last year and this year new assessed values for your homes. You're going to see that for the next few years as well. What we're really doing is keeping it fair for everyone. So what was happening in the past is folks that appealed their taxes had their taxes reduced. And who picked up the slack for that? The rest of us. So by keeping everyone's taxes appealed and current at the current rate of sale, it's the fairest way for each and every one of us. Without a plan and without approval from the state, the city would have been facing a huge tax hike with the potential for layoffs for our employees and reduced services for our residents. So very important that we were able to secure these notes and approval from the state. The Labrosse team's financial plan is threefold. First, control spending. Second, bring more money, more revenue into the city. And third, put an end to these tax appeals. We brought in professional managers to get spending under control. We've accomplished major reductions in legal fees, departmental discretionary spending, and most recently, even in insurance costs. We all know the rising costs of health insurance, and for us to achieve a $500,000 reduction this year, we're very proud of that. This year's budget was a $100 million budget, was up $2.9 million. But of that 2.9, 2.3 of it was for the last round of the tax appeals and the first payment for our ex-chief police Caesar that I'm sure you've read in the papers that we have to now pay. Now that he has won his appeal, we have to pay him $3 million, and we started that first payment this year. Without that, so if you subtract that 2.3 million, that means the entire city, 500 employees, costs of doing business every day was only increased by $600,000. That's quite remarkable. We're increasing our revenue. We're bringing more money into the city by increasing our rateables, bringing more folks into town, bringing more people contributing to the numbers. Our vision for our downtown Main Street is new stores, restaurants, apartments, offices, parking, entertainment, even a new performing arts center. And all of this accomplished on a two-way Main Street without buses on Main Street. Hackensack will become the new cultural center of Bergen County, second to none, even better than Englewood and Ridgewood. Sorry, Ridgewood. Now I'm going to take a look at the projected revenue. Heard a lot about redevelopment, and I think you've seen a lot going on in our downtown as you drive up and down Main Street. Unfortunately, we can't tweak our noses and have these buildings pop up overnight. It's a long procedure to get approvals, to get building done, and to build buildings of that significance. If you look at this chart, you see the revenue coming into the city, coming in slowly, because these buildings are under development. But then you see a rapid escalation. The first really big jump is in 2020, where revenue coming into the city is approaching $8 million. That's $8 million of additional revenue just from the redevelopment. By the end of 2023 into 2024, and I realize that's 7 years away, but this is what it takes, we could see projected revenue of the city just based on projects that we're already in negotiation with of $15 million. Now, your tax levy is only $86 million, so that's 20% of the tax bill, which means if this was started 10 years ago or 7 years ago, right now, your property taxes would be 20% less than they are today. Unfortunately for us, fortunately for you, this is a long-term and requires long-term planning. Many folks, when newly elected, don't want to take on such an endeavor. Because as you see down here, in the beginning years, those projects are being built and you're not seeing the immediate return. But without starting this process, you'll never achieve these results. And we took this on head on. Now I talked a little bit about tax levy. Right? Tax levy is the amount of money that the city has to acquire to support its budget from taxes. This is a 20-year run, starting from 2004 to 2024. The green lines are when we took office. You want to look before the green lines? You're going to see what your tax increases. These are just increases. 14%, 10%. See what they were. This red line going across is what I consider the active threshold. These increases should have never been higher than 4%, yet you see where they were. Look down. 2009, dips low. 2013, dips low. Do those years ring a bell? Those were election years. And this was the strategy of the folks that were in office before us and the folks that are trying to get back into office. Lower it during an election to get elected, and then pay the price for it. In those green lines, when we came into office, not only were we faced with the $30 million tax debt, to get that reduction that year, they under-budgeted health $1 million, which meant we had to pay the $2 million and get it back into the budget. And we were determined not to do this to you again. And our goal was under 4%. We were that first year a little hair over it, but our goal was to drive it down to 2% and keep it there. This year we were proud to say, even with the new loans, your tax increase from the city was only 1.67% of an increase in the tax levy. Look beyond the green. Let us continue our plan, our $15 million revenue, even with normal increases in expenditures. Here's where we project it to be. Tax reduction. The tax return from seeing this investment come into the city while we continue to control the expenditures. That's our plan. Not pie in the sky, actual numbers and real plans. This is our vision. A real plan. How do we get there? How do we get tax relief for our residents? This is our plan. Second part of our plan, where do we go next? We've been focusing on downtown Main Street. We're also focusing on Anderson Street. And we recently, as the mayor alluded to, had a very good meeting with Bergen Community Action. And they're very interested, as well as now saying, let's look at the Central Avenue area and see what we can do there. Let's make it as nice as we're going to make Main Street. Let's get new stores, bringing jobs into the city, low to moderate income, and let's support that section of our city next. Everything has to be done in stages, and that's what we're looking to provide globally within the city. Maintain the integrity of our neighborhoods and bring the type of development that's well deserved and long overdue. what we see as a bright new future for our city, and we ask for your vote on May 9th. Column 2. And they're telling me I'm out of time.
Are we done, or?
Yeah, if possible, we'd like to go to the questions and answers.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, well, thank you for your opening comments. Despite your dig at Ridgewood, appreciate your thoughtful comments. What we're going to do here is I've got a lot of questions that were submitted for the first slate. We're going to go through those already. Some of them you've already touched on, so if you want to add anything to it. And then once we get through those, time permitting, and we've got until about 20 after, then we'll do some additional questions. But we'll start with the ones we had before. The first one we had to do with seniors. And what is your plan with respect to the seniors living in Hackensack in terms of housing, in terms of activities, in terms of their quality of life?
Well, we do have 3 senior housing projects in the city right now, but what we are looking at right now is the first ever tax cut for low-income seniors in the city of Hackensack. There would be requirements, I think their maximum income would be about $40,000 per year. If they made $40,000 or less as seniors, they would get probably the first year like a $250 decrease in their taxes, and that would go up to, I think we made it $600 eventually as it climbs. They could get up to a $600 rebate on their taxes or reduction in their taxes. And this is for low-income seniors. We're starting with that. We think it's a good start, and that's one of the things we have already started working on. And the M&M building, we also create, the M&M building is a new project that's going up in town. It's going to take care of both our youth and our seniors. It'll have a large senior area with meeting rooms. We've already started doing more events for seniors in the last few years, bus trips, more dinners, luncheons per se. And we need to get our seniors more active in our community. So that's one of the things this building will provide is much more a much better atmosphere for both the seniors and youth sports.
Great, thank you. Next question we got had to do with home ownership. You talked a little bit about affordable housing, but what will you do to help low-income individuals get the option to buy and be able to purchase their own home?
Well, at a local level, I mean, the trick to that is, and I might want to let Kathy speak on this because she's more on the finance end. Do you want to handle this?
Everyone wants to see property values increase, but yet we still want to enable our folks to be able to maintain their homes and to pass them on to their family members as need be. And the main reason for us doing a lot of this is to enable this to actually be accomplished. So by bringing more money into the city without increasing the services of the city and the impact on the service, for example, all of this new development will require that they handle their own sanitation, so there won't be an impact there. It's vertical building. We're not clearing new land and having to add more to patrol. So we're being very careful to balance the return on our investment so it doesn't affect our services. So what the net of that is that folks, while their homes will appreciate, their taxes should stabilize. And with the senior tax credit that the mayor just mentioned, something we're looking forward to, we're hoping that will also support our seniors being able to stay in their homes. Bringing in more affordable housing. A lot of folks, hey, we become empty nesters, and I think about that myself sometime. If there's an option right here in our town, that may be something very reasonable for folks that want to move on and say, hey, I now have this option, move into a brand new apartment, I'm right here in my neighborhood and I'm happy, and we'll provide that as an additional option for our seniors.
I'd just like to add to that too. I mentioned the affordable housing fund that we have in the city. Those funds can also be used for existing homes in the city. So if someone a low-income family was to buy one of these homes, there'd be monies available from that if it's part of the low-income housing stock that meets all the requirements. There'd be available monies from that trust fund to put roofing, windows, stuff like that. And that's a big help to young people starting out buying their first home because they're getting a better value on the home because it needs work to begin with. So this way they can get into a place, use some affordable housing trust fund money, and that could help subsidize them to take care of the house. As far as getting a mortgage, I don't know if the city's involvement in the financing for an individual on their houses. I don't know how that would work, to be honest with you. I don't know if that's where you were going with it or not.
The next question we have concerning the council's relationship with the Board of Education. There's a couple questions. First of all, what is the relationship between, how would you characterize the relationship between the City Council and Board of Ed? It seems to be very contentious. How do you plan to fix that? And relatedly, Board of Ed and the City Council meet on the same day, as such residents do not have the opportunity to attend both meetings. What, if anything, would you do to fix that?
Well, I can tell you honestly, I'll be honest and candid. When we were elected, before we were elected, the same people controlled both the city and the Board of Education. There's no doubt about that. When we got into office, from the day we got into office, I've had 3, 4, sometimes 5 Board of Ed members at my council meetings. There's always Board of Ed council members coming to my meeting. If you've ever watched them, there's quite a few attacks going on. This is every 2 weeks for the last 4 years. This is not fabricated. We can go back on YouTube and watch every single meeting because it's all there. I have gone to 2 Board of Ed meetings in my 8 years as a council person and mayor, and one was most recently. And I went there because I think my voice needed to be heard as a mayor. It was very important for me to be there. I thought there was something wrong being done inside the schools, and I went over and I dealt with it. We have tried to work with the Board of Ed on getting a new school. 2 years ago, if you go back, you'll see on public record that I said we need a new school. I did a study on my own before redevelopment even started. The school population in Hackensack went up 700 children in 7 years. That's a school in itself, all right? We solved part of the problem by renting this Padre Pio school for the lower levels. And it's a great building, but the problem is they're paying $4 or $5 million lease over 5 years, and the building's worth about $3.5 million. So it's ludicrous to pay that kind of money. That money should be put into a plan for a new school. We have worked with the Board of Ed. We've given them all our ideas. I've met with the superintendent, or the Superintendent Lewis, twice. Kathy's met with the Board of Ed, and we get a little bit of a stonewall there. And it's unfortunate because, number one, in order for them to build the school, they have to go through City Council because it has to go for a referendum to the citizens. And they have to come to us for that because they don't have the ability to bond. The city does. So, we would love nothing better, and I agree. I heard fellow councilwoman Kim and Geddes speaking before when we came in, and yes, the city and the Board of Ed should get along. It should be a good, healthy relationship. I couldn't agree with it more. I look forward to that happening in the future. But as long as politics rule the day, I don't see that happening. When you have basically a quorum of Board of Ed members come to the City Council meeting, that's a little bit much.
I'd like to have a moment, if I could just share, because the mayor's wife works within the school system. Having a meeting with the Board of Ed, I was the representative from the council that attended, and we invited the Board of Ed members to have a joint meeting with us for the sole purpose of discussing building a school, because the city was prepared to be the financer of such things and to work together with the school board. And we had this meeting, a year and a half ago. Before the meeting, the city did a lot of work, spent some time with our planner, we looked at properties, we looked at what was going on in Jersey City. We don't have a lot of vacant land here in Hackensack. What makes the most sense? We went to the meeting with a preliminary plan of our own, just to have something. When we talked with the Board of Ed members, the Board of Ed members were there. The superintendent of schools at that time was Ms. Lewis. She was there. Their answer to me, their response repeatedly throughout that meeting was, we have a plan, but we are not ready to share it with you. So I said, okay, we've done some work, and I will be happy to share with you our plan, although it's difficult not really knowing the particulars of what you require in the school. What our plan involved was something that would be very versatile, because as we saw, as the mayor pointed out, there was a huge influx of students. The elementary schools were overcrowded, and the high school wasn't. But these students are going to move up into these other grades, so we need to be prepared, and I think a central location probably makes the most sense. So what we proposed, and again, this is just at a very high level, what we proposed was building a school over the parking lot behind the high school. Flat surface parking is not a great use of land. You would not lose any of the parking. Build a real junior high school that connected to the high school. You could shut the doors, you could lock the doors out or not. The junior high school could share the fields, could share the pool, could have those joint resources. Doing this, you could take, at this point, one class, say the 4th grade, you go to 4th grade, yes, the 4th grade from each of your grammar schools and bring them up, so your 5, 6, 7, 8 would now just be 4, 5, 6, or 4, 5, and 7, 8 would go into the junior high school. This way, every grammar school would lose a grade. So each and every grammar school could now duplicate or multiply as they needed. Should things change, you have the flexibility of opening into the high school if you needed that resource, or back, or shifting. So it would give you a centrally located school. Folks are used to going to that area as a centrally located school, and give you total flexibility. Now, this was just a plan. It was just an idea. But we did do some research to come up with something to present to the schools. When we left the meeting, I asked them, please, when you're ready to share, come back to us and have a follow-up meeting. They never contacted us. I also rarely, if ever, I think maybe twice also, have gone to Board of Ed meetings. The night the interim superintendent was designated, I did attend a Board of Ed meeting, and I did speak and ask him to please follow up on this relationship with the city. Again, we're still waiting for them to share their plan with us. That doesn't mean we can't continue to push, and we will, but I think that's what makes this election so critical. I think it has to be, the feelings from the folks in town have to resonate that we need to prosper in this city, we believe in this council, and then I hopefully believe that the Board of Ed will follow. Thank you.
Just real quick, as far as the calendar goes, that only happened a few times. Most recently was the snowstorm forced the council meeting to be the same night, or the Board of Ed meeting to be the same night as the council meeting. But to be honest with you, just by my comments that the Board of Ed is usually at our meeting, it's not true, because the city or the board attorney is always in our meetings.
Just on a personal level, like I said earlier, I have 3 small children, so I have at least 16 years left in the school system. I know this is 21 months, and we plan to stay. So, you know, the relationship is a vested interest for me. I want to be very involved in that, and I would not have signed up to be on this ticket if I didn't think that they had the schools and the children's best interest at hand, because like I said, I'm here for 16 more years in the school system. I have 3 children. They're involved in sports. They're in the public schools. So to me, this is, these are the people that are going to get that done.
Great, thank you. We got a bunch more questions, and we have just a little bit of time. So if I could ask you, and I know it's hard, because maybe there's a lot you want to share with us. Just keep the answers quick, and then we just move on. The next one concerns employment. And we've got a few questions here. I'll just read them all to you. What is your plan with respect to training the youth for employment opportunities in our city? Will you sign an executive order so that young people can get good jobs in our city?
As the mayor in Hackensack with our form of government, I wish I could, but I can't sign an executive order, but I certainly can push for it, and I would promise to do that. Just a lot of the work, the jobs that are going to come into the city are through the redevelopment process. You're looking at the creation of close to 1,000 jobs for people in the city of Hackensack. Every developer we talk to, we ask that they please consider Hackensack residents first, those in trades, but those that are going to come out of these developments once they're open. There's Main Street, the whole ground level of Main Street when it's redeveloped will be retail. There'll be no apartments on the ground level. One of the requirements of the redevelopment plan is to have retail at the ground level. All those will be new stores, creating new jobs. And you're looking at probably hundreds of service jobs created on Main Street through the next probably 2 to 10 years, I would say.
Okay, now I have a few questions concerning Hackensack University Medical Center. And I'll just ask all 3 of them. What is your position with respect to Hackensack University Medical Center? particularly with respect to their continued expansion into the city and the tax breaks they receive. Relatedly, in prior years, an agreement between the city and the hospital to provide free ambulance service existed. What is your position on that? And what can the city do, if anything, to help those who do not have medical coverage or not sufficient medical coverage?
Because of the mayor's conflict, I'll try to speak to this as quickly as I can. First of all, most folks don't realize this, but Hackensack University Medical Center is the second highest taxpayer in the city of Hackensack. The only one that pays more taxes than the Hackensack University Medical Center is the shops at Riverside. So currently, the Hackensack University Medical Center is paying annually to the city more than $5 million in taxes every year, plus additional things that they have supported with the city throughout the last few years. We have worked very closely with them and feel that we are true partners. As far as the expansion goes, they are, the standard that they deliver as a hospital is second to none in this tri-state area. And to maintain that standard of excellence, they must grow, as everyone must grow. And they need to add state-of-the-art, brand new type of operating rooms, procedures, etc. for their patients. They are doing so with this expansion in a way that does not take any additional property off the tax rolls. They've come up with a plan, working with the city, where this expansion will be done totally on property that the medical center already owns. The only addition they will make is there will be a bridge that goes over 2nd Street connecting those buildings. And for that bridge, the city will receive lease monies. We will rent them air. So for the most part, we will be able to collect an additional payment of rent for the air rights that they will use to do that crossover between those two buildings. And what was the third?
Ambulance service?
Oh, the ambulance service. Okay. The medical center's ability to provide ambulance service to its residents. There was legislation in 2012 that deemed anything of that nature to be illegal. That it was considered to be, I'm not going to use the word bribe, but a coercion to gain a city preference. So that was no longer legal for the medical center to do. Question number one. Question number two was, once they did that, when that agreement went into place, what happened to the folks that were uninsured? Because the city was in this, it was like the city became their secondary insurance. So they were not allowed to get full charity care, which actually hurt the people that didn't have health insurance. And another part of that, the city was covered in that agreement only up to a certain amount of money. And then over that amount, the city had to pay. Unfortunately for us, we have a lot of county buildings also in the city. So when hospital rides were given from the shelter, from the jail, they considered that Hackensack residents, and most of those folks were not insured, and that was part of our monies. So by coming up with a new plan with the medical center, where they are reimbursing the city in other ways towards our emergency services, the city still provides free ambulance service for its residents. The process is when you have an ambulance service provided, you get your bill from the medical center if it's not charity care. If you don't have insurance, you should apply for charity care, and you will be able to get it now because you don't have the city behind it. If it's your insurance and there's a copay, if you pay that bill, come to City Hall with a copy of the paid bill, the city will write you a check for your contribution to that. And we've publicized that, we've done it in, whoever's come forth has been reimbursed, and that's part of the city's commitment.
Great, thanks. Two more questions we have time for. One is, can you speak to the plan to discontinue leaf pickup from the street, instead forcing residents to bag all of their own leaves?
Yes. That's not going to be a mandatory program. I have a letter that I wrote about 3 weeks ago. I know it says it on our calendar, but that was supposed to say it was not mandatory, no one's going to be fined or punished for that. What we're trying to do is The Department of Environmental Protection and EPA are very concerned about leaves on the streets because they end up going into the sewers, causing major sewer problems. And there's safety issues too. You get kids playing these pile of leaves, cars are coming by. The leaves blow, once they're in a pile, they end up blowing all over the streets onto other people's property. What we're trying to do is create, moving forward, people starting to bag their leaves. A lot of municipalities in Bergen County bag their leaves. We're trying to start out with it and eventually get to that. But no one's going to be fined or punished for this. They're going to, you can still put your pile in the street, but we're going to ask that if you have a small amount of leaves, that you bag them. I mean, people with large properties, it would be very hard to do, and that was one of my issues. You have some very large pieces of property in town with a lot of trees. I can't imagine how many bags of leaves it would take for them to do it. But we're trying to move towards the Environmental Protection Agency and the DEP's guidelines on that, their best practices.
And the last question has to do with the relationship between government and the public it serves. And a couple questions I have on there are what will you do once in office, or once continuing in office, with the relationship between the city and its residents? What new avenues would you propose to increase opportunities for public input into decision making and civil involvement in government?
Well, when we get in, we had a list of promises, and we kept, I would say, about 95% of them. One of them that we did keep that I think we'd really like to work on is the ward meetings. We have 5 wards in the city of Hackensack, and we do have a first ward meeting that we do go to, but there's wards that aren't very active, don't have people that volunteer their time, that, ward leaders per se, but we would pursue that more. We have a second ward group, first ward group. We need to, communities as wards need to get together, and it works as a great tool for the citizens in the city to, so we can hear what's going on, so we can hear what's happening on the streets. I think some people don't like coming to council meetings, but they feel more comfortable in their own setting of, in their own neighborhood, having a meeting. We'd like to pursue that as one of the things. We've been very open and transparent. As soon as we got in, the first thing we did was start to televise meetings. First thing we did was put them on YouTube, and then we created our own 2 different cable channels, one for Fios, one for Cablevision, so you can watch watch all the meetings on television.
Great. And that's it for the questions. Just a minute if you want to just sort of sum up what your site stands for and what you want to do.
We were elected in 2013. I was actually elected as a councilman in 2009, and when I got home today, I was actually out of state till flew in about noon today, but I was looking for this flyer and I happened to find it. And this was the promises we made in one of our flyers, and it's where we stand on corruption. And we haven't tolerated corruption. We cleaned up most of the stuff in the police department. As you know, our police department was in disarray. A lot of that has stopped. We still have a couple issues here and there, but we tremendously have cut back on that. Taxes, you saw the deputy mayor's discussion on taxes. We've actually flattened out the taxes from 2013. When you look at that graph, that's pretty great. I mean, we're just peaked out a little over the red line, and we're starting on our way down, exactly where we want to be. Open government, like I just mentioned. We televise the meetings. We have more people. I served as a councilman from 2009 to 2013 when the meetings were not televised, and we usually get 3 or 4 people at a council meeting. Now we get 20 to 30 on a regular basis, and they're quite lively. I can guarantee you that. Redevelopment. We promised to bring redevelopment, and we did. We through state programs like the pilot program, we were able to give incentives to open up the doors to rebuild our downtown. We plan it's going to be back to a 2-way street, both Main Street and State Street. We had to start somewhere. We don't have, like the deputy mayor mentioned, we don't have open space. We can't build apartment buildings over here and over here. We don't have that room. So the state gave us the tools to redevelop our Main Street. Main Street is really where all our redevelopment started. Public safety. Our streets are safer than they ever were. Our crime rate is down. If I'm not mistaken, last statistics, our crime rate is way below Paramus. A lot of that has to do with Mr. Sims over here and his communication with the police department and the community. That's been a great help. Roads. We paved more roads. We paved almost 75 roads in the last 4 years. That's more than all the councils put together in the last 3 or 4 terms. We went back to twice a week garbage pickup during the summer months. We had promised that, and we came through with that. Flooding, we are constantly working, trying to figure out ways to help with the flooding. One of the things we're doing is all the new redevelopment that goes in. A lot of this right now is what they call impervious surface, which is just surface parking lots and stuff like that. These will all have underground retention areas, green type space underground to retain this water before it goes out. It cuts back tremendously on the flooding. Almost every single major project will have this, and that's very important for the environment. That's one of the things we're doing. So that's a list, and Mr. Sims has something else here. Oh, yes, and this was actually, Mr. Sims was definitely involved with this. We opened the splash pad in Carver Park. Put some serious funding into Carver Park, a couple of new bathrooms, a splash pad. Mr. Sims was also involved with the getting the high school swimming pool available to the community through basically almost year-round, I believe. And it's used quite often, and that was a great idea. And that's I heard the term shared services used before. That's a perfect shared service right there, because the kids get to use that. So it's wonderful. Anybody else?
Great, well, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a round of applause for them. Thank you very much.